Welcome to the Basement Sports Network Dolphins coverage. And ladies and gentlemen, this week we have a big game. So we brought out the big guns. Just me and JMV. We're the people who carry this network anyway. JMV, how you doing today, my guy?
No, we're doing good. We're doing good. Excited for the game on Sunday. We've been looking forward to this one and the Kansas City game in Germany. These are the two big ones. I didn't give a fuck about the Buffalo game.
See, you're just like most Dolphins fans who didn't seem to give a shit about that Buffalo game because it tends to happen.
Not that one. Not that one on the road. I think that game was more important for Buffalo than it was for Miami. Now, when we play Buffalo in Miami,
Buffalo needed to get their
holds
swag
more
back.
importance.
Buffalo needed to get their swag back that game, and I think that they did. But people have summarily dismissed that game, and I was a bit more like, this is a sign that maybe the Dolphins aren't where they're supposed to be. Now, they did have a bounce back game. They had two bounce back weeks against the Giants and then just recently against the Carolina Panthers. So they're looking to be back in their winning ways. But this is, I guess, what most Dolphins fans will see as the first official litmus test for this team, outside of the division powerhouse in the Philadelphia Eagles at Lincoln Financial Field. It's going to be tough, brother. It's going to be tough. So coming into this, you got the Dolphins with the number one offense and the Eagles with the second best offense. Dolphins with the number one run game, Eagles with the number two run game.
Did you see? Sorry for cutting you off. Did you see the stat that it said the number one offense, like the gap between the number one offense, the Dolphins, and number two, the Eagles, was
like 180 something yards a game,
650 something yards. The gap,
in
total, on the year. And it was
like 180 something yards per game.
That was the same gap between number 2 and 19. That's insane.
Yeah, so I mean the gap is huge. Just for purposes, this is I guess technically the second best offense in the league. The second best running game. They're the eighth best in passing. Dolphins still number one in that category. But nonetheless, Super Bowl runner-up, MVP candidate. I don't know if he's still that because he hasn't been playing as well. But just a tough matchup. So JMB, just overall, going into this matchup, just kind of tell me how you're viewing it for right now.
Oh, I actually feel good. The Eagles secondaries, has been a little inconsistent throughout the year. It's not the same secondary that the Eagles had last year. So and they're a little banged up all across the board. I think Lane Johnson's going to play, and Devontae Smith, I saw practice today. But I'm excited for us at least. The passing game gets everything going. I'm a little worried about the offensive line. Let's see if Connor Williams plays. It's going to be important because obviously we don't have to run Armstead. So as long as we can control the pass rush, which is the only worry that I have in that game, on our side of the ball, on the offensive side of the ball, is the only worry that I have. As long as we can control that pass rush, give Tua, the 3 seconds to get the ball out, make his reads quick, I feel good about the game.
So you said you have that one worry. I have another worry because along that defensive front, the Eagles have some studs. And so I'm worried that the Dolphins' number one rushing game won't be as effective in this game. Do you share that kind of that same sentiment? Do you think the Dolphins may have some trouble running the ball this game?
Oh, I think our offense is not going to be as balanced as it's been throughout the year. When we played the Patriots, and they were playing the three safeties in the back. They wanted to take away the passing game, and the Dolphins ran the ball a lot that game. I think this game's going to be kind of the opposite. I think we're going to throw the ball a lot rather than run as much as we have the past, because no one has been able to run against the Eagles really consistently. Man, you can get the 3 yards or whatever, but that's not the Dolphins style of game. We don't have the Montgomerys that the Lions have to just, pound the rock consistently. We don't have that. So I think we're going to pass the ball.
They've been relying on they've been relying a lot on that kind of big play in the run game. And to his credit, Raheem Mostert has been telling you've been a big proponent of Raheem Mostert since last year. But without having Achane out there, Raheem Mostert has answered the bell, and he has been significant for this run game. You don't think taking that away is going to hurt?
Well, no, definitely. I don't think they're going to take it away completely, but I don't think we're going to run the ball 30 times. I think it's going to be not as low as it was last year that we had games where we ran the ball 12, 13 times in an entire game. I don't think it's going to be that low, but I think we're going to lean a little more towards the pass game than we did the run game. So the pass game can open up the run game versus the balance that we've had.
So yeah. So you said that they were going to pass. Like when you're talking about passing more, give me like a number of throws that you think Tua makes in this game. Like how many times is he dropping back and passing that ball?
Honestly, I can throw a number out that I think it's going to be, but everything depends. Like the Eagles run that bitch a lot. Their time of possession when they have the ball and they're driving, they're marching down the field. It's 7, 8, 9, 10-minute drives. So if the Eagles sustain, which I 100% think they will, because our defense is it sucks. It's terrible. And we can't stop the run now we have in the past. Yeah, like we've had troubles with running quarterbacks. But when you had a traditional quarterback back there in the pocket, the run game in the previous years was never, including last year, it was never really a problem except, Cook one massive run. But for the most part, like we kept them contained when we played the Vikings last year, This year, everybody's running against us. So I think they're going to have long possessions. I don't think this game's going to be a 40-40 game. I think it's going to be somewhere in the 31-28, 28-25, like 3-4 point difference, but I got the Dolphins on top. But to answer your question,
yeah,
25 to 30 times, I think we're gonna pass the ball.
That's about average though. Like Tua passes the ball like 30 times, so it's like that's not anymore.
But we also run the ball 30 times, whereas I think now it's gonna be 15 to 18.
Because we're gonna have less possessions.
Yeah, we're not gonna have the possession that we usually have.
Okay, so this is a good question from Jose. It's taking us off the beaten path a little bit, but I feel like it's a question worth exploring. What do you guys think of the whole Tua is only good because of the system narrative going around? I think every quarterback in the NFL is a system quarterback. Even Patrick Mahomes doesn't look the same without Eric Bieniemy over there calling the plays. I do believe that this system enhances what Tua does well. And I don't think there's a problem with that. Like the Dolphins are winning games and they're winning them convincingly. They have the number one offense in the league. And so, like, I don't give a fuck if he's a system quarterback. He's the perfect quarterback for this perfect system for him. And it worked. As long as it leads to wins, then I don't give a shit. Like, I don't care. Like, if I don't care to like put Tua on another team and see if he would do the same thing there. That's not what I want to do. He's here for the Dolphins. This system fits his skill set. And I'm cool with him being the quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. Go ahead, JMB. What were you about to say, though?
No, I agree 100%. I think every quarterback to an extent is a system quarterback. I think when you're a quarterback, you get whether it be early, mid-round, late round, undrafted, it doesn't matter. I think every quarterback has their certain skill sets. And for you as an organization, you need to bring out the best in that skill set. So in a sense, every quarterback becomes assistant quarterback. Like, look at Geno Smith in Seattle. Like that speaks volumes to what Seattle's system is, where Russell Wilson gets out of Seattle and he's dog shit for the majority of the extent that he's been in Denver this far. And Geno Smith is actually a starting caliber quarterback who is putting up good numbers throughout his tenure.
He's a Pro Bowler as a quarterback.
It speaks volumes to Seattle's system, and I know Pete Carroll somewhere is smiling and he looks good. And Russ is not the same without Seattle. So I don't buy into that whole narrative of Tua as a system quarterback. Stephen A saying that Tua, all he does is 2, 3, 4 yard passes and Tyreek takes it to the crib. That's a bunch of bullshit. He clearly does not watch the Dolphins.
Yeah, Tua just had a 40-yard bomb to Tyreek last week.
No, it was hilarious because while he's saying this, the highlights in the background, everything is 15, 20, 30, 40, 15, 16 yards consistently. Like you just don't watch the Dolphins because last year we were begging Tua to check down. All this man wanted to do was throw to the middle of the field 15 to 20 yards every single play. Like every pass was a first down pass. Like we were begging this man to check down, take the under routes, the drag routes. This year, he's actually doing it versus the Patriots. Again, we had a lot of shorter routes than we usually do, and it was executed beautifully. So, but to say Tua, all he does is throw the little dink and dunks and Reek and Waddle take it. That's a load of bullshit. That's not our offense.
But first of all, like Tua can't help how fast Tyreek Hill is open. If he's open very quickly, then he throws the ball to him very quickly. And then I don't care about like what people have to say about what he does. What he does is he runs this offense to perfection, and that has led them to the number one offense in the league. I don't like if somebody else was doing it. If Patrick Mahomes had the number one offense in the league, then you talk about it like he had the number one offense in the league. Then give Tua that same respect that while he's doing the job. Let's get back around to this game because we were talking about the running game and how that's not going to be there. And you're leaning into this passing thing, but I'm worried about the offensive line holding up. I don't believe Connor Williams is going to play. And which means that Liam Eichenberg, again, will be on his knees trying to guard Jordan Davis, Fletcher Cox, and shit like that. But before we do that, Dan the Film Gym with the $5 don't know. Consistency is key, ladies and gentlemen. He said, I know Bryce is a rookie quarterback, but I think he's too young to start the game this past Sunday. I think Bryce Young is put into a terrible situation. Terrible organizations do not develop players. Carolina Panthers have proven to be a terrible organization. They got a generational talent in Cam Newton, and he was able to overcome that. But no other quarterback that goes to Carolina seems to develop. It's not a thing. So I pray for Bryce Young because I do think he has some talent. He's kind of been coming along the past couple of weeks. But, like, I don't know. Like, I don't think Carolina should have trotted him out there week one and say, hey, here are the keys. But we're talking about the Dolphins. Stop making me talk about Carolina. I don't care about them. What about Claypool? Is he coming into this game? I don't know. JMV, you know anything about whether or not Claypool will play?
He needs to learn the playbook first, and until he doesn't learn I don't think he needs to learn the entire playbook, but until he doesn't learn the majority of the playbook, I don't think he's going to touch the field. But I'm excited to see Claypool, at least in the red zone. You know, the red zone sets.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't think that they can like install like red zone sets that he can understand and get on the field this week?
We'll find out.
I mean, what's the alternative, JMV?
There is no
Robbie
alternative.
Chosen.
Braxton Berrios, who I love. I love Braxton Berrios.
I like Braxton Berrios, River Craycraft have both played phenomenally for what they are this year, and I want to give them credit. But just being honest, Chase Claypool has more talent in his pinky toe than both of them combined. And it's like we don't have a big receiving threat in the end zone. Durham Smythe, so he runs those little bootlegs for the most part, but like we don't really have a pass catching tight end. So Claypool can slot right in. I'm not saying really as a tight end, but kind of like the big red zone threat that we don't have anymore. We used to have it in Gesicki, even though everything else he did was terrible. But we had him as that target. We don't have that anymore. Yeah, because Gesicki is 6'6", so that does help in the red zone. But Chase Claypool, I'm interested to see how Mike McDaniel uses him because he's kind of made superstars out of little men this year, and I've just like Austin Jackson, for example. Like, and that's before we start talking about this offensive line because that's where I was pivoting to. Like, I do want to give them their credit, bro. They have played well this year. Even Liam at certain times has been okay. Like I'm not gonna go as far as to say good. He's been fine as a backup center or replacement center or whatever you want to call him. But Kendall Lamb has been fine. You've seen Austin Jackson has been good. I'll give Austin Jackson good, especially in the run blocking, like getting up to the second level. Robert Hunt has been phenomenal. Yeah, Robert Hunt has been phenomenal. Teron Armstead doesn't play football. But again, they're going against one of what I believe probably to be the top defensive line in football. Like, how do you see that matchup doesn't strike any fear into wrecking the Dolphins' potential game plan in your opinion? Well, I'm sure we're going to have tight ends in there. In blocking sets when we're going to pass. I don't think we're going to leave the 5 out there to die. We have a fullback in Ingold, and he will be in there blocking, and in certain sets, Julian Hill or Durham Smythe is going to be in there helping also to block. But for the extent of our offense, Tua only needs 2.5 seconds, at most to get the ball out. So as long as you don't get beat initially, you all keep your guys, whoever your matchup is in front of you, our offense should function to an extent that we would like to get points. Here's a question: if you're the owner of the Dolphins and Bill Belichick is on the market, no, fuck no. Last year, if you would have asked me that question, yeah, I would have been off to that. I'm not a Mike McDaniel stan or anything like that, but he's made a believer out of me this year, and that's kind of honestly, I think that's going to be probably one of the biggest disruptors to the Philadelphia Eagles defensive line is Mike McDaniel schematically. That's part of the reason why it's I don't think the Dolphins would be able to run the ball, but if they do run the ball, I wouldn't be surprised. They say you better block Hassan Reddick. No, you better not, actually, because sometimes the Dolphins don't block defensive ends at the fuck all. They just ignored them and have the running back run right by them. Now, Hassan Reddick is a different beast. I don't think that's possible with him. I think you got to put a hat on him. But, like, I think that pre-snap motion shit and misdirection that the Dolphins use has given them more running lanes. And I think some of that stuff could potentially work against the Eagles. Do you feel the same, or are you just like, nah, that shit's going to be cooked versus them studs down there?
No, I just don't think we're going to run the ball as much. Like that's where I'm at right now. I could be surprised on Sunday, but I wouldn't be surprised if Mostert breaks a 10, 15, 20-yard run, Like he's struggling to run the ball 2-3 yards, whatever, and then breaks one for 15. I wouldn't be surprised because we do have some schemes. And when you start with the pre-snap motion and all of that, and then the blocking is sensational from almost everybody across the board. Everybody knows their matchups. They know who they need to block, and it's ridiculously well done. So I wouldn't even be surprised if we run a wide receiver end around or something throughout the game. So
that's what I'm saying. Like that's not uncommon. Like the little Tua magician throws and shit like that. I think some of that shit could get Philadelphia off balance, and the Dolphins will find some success or like generate a run game that way. But I also wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins rush for 20 yards this whole fucking game, because that defensive line is elite, bro. I do want to kind of like give us an opportunity to talk about some of our concerns for this game. Offensively, there's confidence that the Dolphins will find some way to make that work.
Yeah.
I do not share that confidence in the Miami Dolphins defense. Vic Fangio is a fraud. I am there already, and I'm good with standing on that. I don't know what the Dolphins defense is going to do against this Philadelphia offense. Do you have any idea?
Just hope that Jalen Hurts makes a mistake or two in the game. That's really all we can hope for, because they're going to score. Philadelphia is going to score, even though they haven't really scored to the extent of, they get their yards, that they march. They have those 8-minute drives we were talking about. But once they get to the red zone, they haven't been as consistent as they were last year in the red zone, aside from the, grab Jalen Hurts by the back and push his ass into the end zone. They really haven't been. Huh?
The brotherly shove. We're going to see that shit like four times in this game.
They really haven't been as consistent as they were last year in the red zone. So
for sure, they
settle for a lot of field goals, So we just got to hope that Jalen Hurts makes a mistake or two and we make them pay, because
is it going to be possible to make a mistake if Kader Kohu is caught on A.J. Brown? Because we know that X will not travel, and even if he did, A.J. Brown is a handful in and of himself. And if not him, then Devonta Smith, who you said was practicing, he's also quite a menace. Are you confident in the Dolphins secondary? I know we talked a little bit about the Eagles secondary.
No.
The Dolphins secondary.
No.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
I am on my knees waiting for Jalen Ramsey to come back. I'm on my knees. No,
I think they feel like speaking of Jalen Ramsey, do you feel like that's kind of rushed, bro? Like, I feel like he coming, like maybe he might heal quickly, but like I feel like because of the way that this defense has looked, there's a bit of a push for him to come back a little prematurely. Do you think that, or you just think he's just like ready to play?
I don't think Jalen Ramsey, the person, will put himself in a predicament where his career can end. Like he's got an ego, and rightfully so. He deserves to have an ego because of the player that he's been and all his accolades and everything he's done throughout his career. So he deserves to have an ego. But I don't think Jalen Ramsey, the person, will force himself to come back into, like put himself in a position where he knows he's not 100% just because the Dolphins defense needs it. We're 5-1. There's no need to rush it. The defense can be atrocious all it wants. We're still 5-1. We still have not played the Jets, who they have no offense. Sure, their defense is great, but they have no offense. We still have a game against the Patriots. There's you look at the schedule of the Dolphins, there is 5-6 more wins in there that you can just check mark that they're coming.
I think these next 3 weeks are kind of like, okay, we're gonna get it. And Gerald is correct. The Jets are not pussy. That offense could use some work, but they are getting better, and that defense is for real.
Yeah, the defense is for real.
But you saw that on display versus. That's kind of one. That's another thing that has me worried. Like, yeah, we talking a little bit, but I know I'm bouncing all over the place. But the Eagles lost last week for the first time this season. Like, they're going to come into this game kind of with a fire lit under them, bro. Do you think it's incumbent on the Dolphins to kind of like get in there early and like start the game quickly in order to stave off that first wave of like aggression that the Eagles are probably going to most definitely come out with?
I don't think the Dolphins, as you know, the players themselves, I don't think they can get too high and caught up over that. I think they need to play their game. You know, last week we fell behind 14-0 and we came back. Our offense can score in bunches and they can score fast.
That's against Carolina, though.
I know, I understand, but their secondary is not the Jets, secondary.
But the pass rush, that's what I'm saying,
again,
bro. Like, we can't put ourselves, you can't go down 14 points to Philadelphia.
No, definitely. But I'm saying that game is kind of like the Bills situation. That game is in Philadelphia. They're coming off a loss. This game means, and they've been struggling. They need to get their swagger back as well, just like the Bills needed to. So yeah. I don't think the Dolphins play as players. They can get too caught up in that. Play your game, execute your offense. When it's a running play or even on passing plays, a lot of guys have responsibilities to block, to get Reek open and to get Waddle open or whoever is targeted. Everybody has responsibilities. You need to execute them. Don't worry about. Don't come into that game thinking about it's the Eagles are 5-1. We need a statement win. Play your game. Play your game. Our defense has enough problems as it is, so I need everybody concentrated offensively and executing our offense to the fullest extent, especially the offensive line again. So
I know the defense is your biggest concern overall. What part of the defense is the part where it's like that is going to lose us the game if we don't do something in that area?
You would think I would say the secondary, but it's the linebackers.
No,
it's to me, it's the linebackers.
I'm so worried about Jerome Baker's health because if Kelsey gets a hold of him, he's going to bury that man.
Yeah. No, and that offensive line that the Eagles have is a monster. That's a unit that they have. Swift is going to break through the initial line.
It's so good, bro.
Yeah. No, Swift is going to break through that initial line, and you got to worry about the Jalen Hurts run plays as well. Our linebackers need to be in their A game, and they don't have an A game to have. So at best, we're hoping for C+ in that game.
But see, this is also like he's talking about the defensive front. We're talking about that offensive front. The front seven on both sides for the ball for the Eagles is elite. And we all know that most times that is where games are won. The front seven for the Dolphins is playing well, but we would consider that the weakest unit of their offense. The defensive front on the Dolphins has not been good. Like, they don't get – I mean, they've gotten a few sacks. I got to give them their credit. Chubb has gotten home a few times. But consistently, the pass rush isn't elite by any means, and the run stopping hasn't been there. So, like, you're facing an elite front seven on both sides of the ball, bro. Like, what is giving you this confidence, bro?
And they like to run.
They do, and it's going to work.
They run effectively.
It's going to work.
I'm confident because the Eagles have not looked like the Eagles of last year offensively. Yes, they put together.
That a report? Is that reported? That Lane Johnson's playing?
I haven't seen it. It yet. I saw he practiced, and I saw that Devontae Smith practiced. That's all. That's the last thing.
I'm gonna look for it on Twitter. But go ahead.
No, I was saying that I'm confident because the Eagle. I trust obviously Tua on this offense, and I trust McDaniel and him to figure out a scheme that is gonna be effective against the Eagles. But the Eagles themselves as a unit, it hasn't been the same team that they had last year, and they have a new offensive coordinator, and Jalen Hurts has to learn a brand new playbook and all of that, sure. But at the end of the day, red zone efficiency is important. And if the Eagles go down there and they get 4 or 5 field goals in the game, and we go down the other way and we score 3 touchdowns, we got 21 points. And the Dolphins have one of the best red zone efficiencies in the NFL. So as much as I don't trust our defense, I trust our offense that much more because the Eagles are not playing to what we expect out of them.
I get that, but you know what the Eagles defense does really well? They rush the passer.
Oh no, yeah, definitely.
They're going to get the Tua.
Oh yeah,
like that to me is a given. They're going to get the Tua, and I'm not saying that that's going to derail the Dolphins offensively. They're going to get to Tua, and we may not get to Jalen Hurts. This game just feels like it has a recipe for like maybe we need to something from the defense. Like we're going to need at least 1 or 2 turnovers from the defense in order to win this game because they're going to control the clock and we're not going to get as many possessions to get up to our normal like points per game thing or even yardage.
I just think we need one key stop from the defense.
You think the offense is going to go down there? You think the offense is going to score every time?
No, not every time. We didn't score every time against the Chargers, but I think we're going to score enough to where the Eagles won't keep up. And we need let me rephrase that. Not that the Eagles won't keep up. I think we're going to score enough to where the Eagles are not going to get to that mark. Maybe they'll have a chance at the end, and that's where the defense has to come through and get that one stop, just like the Chargers game in week 1. The defense only needed to get one stop. They got their asses whooped the entire game, but they got the one stop we needed. That's where I think it's going to come down to again.
I don't like that type of game plan because I
don't either, but a dub is a dub.
I get that, but the Eagles don't play a form of football where the Dolphins are going to be able to get to like 35 points. Like I don't think this. I think the Dolphins are going to score somewhere in the mid to high 20s, and I think the Eagles can get to that with the way that they play. Because they are going to gash them some runs too. I want to thank Dan the Film again with the $5 dono. He said Bryce Young is too young to have insurance deal with a bad organization like Carolina. I believe he can do better with his income. Not really. He can. He can contact our guy James Pugh and the people over at Simple Health Advisors and let them know that his insurance does not need to be complicated. Make sure that you email our guy James Pugh or give him a call and tell him that the basement sent you. Email our guy James Pugh at jpugh@simplehealthadvisors.com. or give him a call at 321-345-7738. Bryce Young can get his health insurance, life insurance, any kind of insurance that you're looking for. My man James Pugh can hook you up, even your car insurance. So some of y'all need to give my dog a call. But yeah, that is like the trenches, bro. NFL games are won in the trenches. The Dolphins lose that matchup on both sides of the ball, and yet you still can sit here and believe that the Dolphins offense will carry them to a victory. I think the Eagles are too strong on both sides. They're like a balanced team. Like there's a drop-off, a considerable drop-off from the Dolphins offense to the Dolphins defense. I don't see the Eagles don't have that. They're just solid on both sides of the ball. And that could be the
agree. And growing up, you know, as I got older and watching football and everything, I've always said, and I've been saying it for years, when I was saying to get to a goddamn offensive line, you know, and the defensive line, I want real edge rushers, not people that they just win the initial pass rush, you know, win rate merchants. I want people that get to the damn quarterback, you know, because football is won and lost in the trenches and in the playoffs. It is what matters. But this Dolphins offense is not an offense that we're accustomed to seeing in the NFL from anybody in a long time, maybe ever. We'll see as the year progresses and how many records this offense breaks. But this is not your traditional offense you're dealing with. And the way it's executed right now, I'm confident that we're going to put at least 28 on the board. I'm confident about it. 4 touchdowns. I'm confident we're going to put them on the board.
So I agree with a sentiment that Colin Cowherd had earlier today. This Dolphins offense is 2 years ahead of the NFL.
Yeah.
It's like you'll see it catch up a little bit next year. By the year after, the entire league will be caught up, so it'll force Mike McDaniel to kind of be more innovative in what he's doing here. But right now, nobody has anything for this shit. They don't. Like, so I'm confident that the Dolphins could put up 4 touchdowns. I'm also confident that that's like a realistic target for them. But I'm also really confident that the Eagles could stop the Dolphins from getting 4 touchdowns because they can hit 2 early and often. Like, my biggest fear is the Dolphins' offensive line breaking down in this game. They have played well, and I want to believe in them. But against a defensive line like that, I think they're going to break down, bro. And that, to me, is what could cost the Dolphins this game. What's your biggest fear for this game coming up?
Obviously, every game, and knock on wood, every game that you watch where you're playing an elite defense or at least an elite pass rush, because we're Dolphins fans and we've dealt with this over the years, obviously there's a certain fear in the back of your mind that they're going to get to Tua and Tua's going to get hurt. So that will cost us the game, obviously. But I'm trying not to think about that. I've seen Tua get hit this year. I see him in his jiu-jitsu, and I see him roll and whatever. And there's also times where last year he's rolling out of the pocket or something, and he takes unnecessary hits. This year we've seen him throw it away. We've seen it throw it at guys' foots. We've seen him slide. You know, like he's consciously aware that
his feet, Xavien, not foots.
Feet. But you can see that he's consciously aware that he needs to protect himself as a quarterback.
For sure.
I don't want to say that he's fragile, but he is fragile. And in his career, I've yet to ever see him since he got to Alabama. I've yet to see that man play an entire season. You know, and obviously we're rooting for him to play the entire season and more than that. So that fear is there. It'll always be there, you know, in the back of our mind.
I'm also talking about schematically outside of the Tua thing because I haven't really given that much thought this year. Like I'm not gonna put any stock in the Tua getting hurt until or if Tua gets hurt. Like I've seen him take I've seen him take hits. He got the fuck up. He go out there and throw the ball again. That's the mindset that I'm entering this with. Assuming health, what is your biggest worry in this game?
Offensively or defensively? Offensively, I think we're putting up.
Do both.
Offensively, I think we're putting up 4 touchdowns. They're going to get the Tua. I know they're going to get the Tua. There's not a game that the Eagles play that they don't get to the quarterback. They will get to Tua. They will knock his ass on the floor, and he's going to feel the bruises the next day. It's going to happen. He needs to get up and continue to play. It's just one down. The biggest thing with Tua, you know, when the rush is coming at you and whatever, don't make a bad decision. This is not the Carolina Panthers. This is not the New York Giants. This, you know, it's not one of the teams that we've faced previously, where if you make a mistake, they're gonna fucking score, and
the Eagles are gonna make you pay for it.
Yeah, they're gonna make you pay for it. So the rush is coming, bro. Just get down. Like if there's really nothing there, and you see that they beat your offensive line, get down. Live for the next down. You know, you throw every ball 10 to 20 yards, anyways. That's a first down every single time. Every completion is a first down. This man barely throws behind the markers. It's rare when he throws behind the markers, so just don't make a mistake. That's the only thing with Tua. And take care of the ball, be smart, and play your game. Defensively, that's the worry. That's the worry. I don't think we're going to stop the run game. I think Swift is going to run for 150 yards. I swear. It's going to look like who did Swift run for 150 yards on I think it was Thursday Night Football a few weeks ago? It was week 2. I forgot who he played. But it's gonna look like that. Where every time
if you got Swift on fantasy, play him.
Oh, shit. If I had him, I would. Unfortunately, I don't have him in any fantasy, but that man's gonna give you 25 points at least this week. That's a guarantee.
Okay, so you think the run defense, bro? I have a hard time.
Everything defense, but I'm saying Swift in general is going to get 150 yards.
Yeah, bro, I have a hard time, bro.
Who's gonna guard Goddard? Who is going to guard Goddard and stop him? Nobody.
Javon Holland.
That Javon Holland is not stopping Dallas Goddard. No way. That man, that's a specimen.
No, the specimen is on the outside. And he will be out there abusing Kader Kohu and Xavien Howard all game long.
No, I
am worried about A.J. Brown, bro.
Oh, yeah, no, of course.
I think A.J. Brown is going to have a fantastic game against the Dolphins, bro. Which is like, I don't know, though. I don't want to say it, bro, because I want to have faith. I want to believe in the progress that the Dolphins have made. But I am not having a good feeling about this game. I just feel like the Eagles are going to have a get-right game against the Miami Dolphins because that defense is so terrible. I have no worries about the Dolphins' offense. I think they'll make this a competitive game. But that fucking defense, bro, and that's going to be bigger implications, bro. If the Dolphins lose this game, not even close, let's say they lose it in an embarrassing fashion in which the offense isn't effective. I think what I believe happens, the Eagles line gets home. Where does this put you in terms of like the Dolphins standings in the AFC or in league wide? Like, how do you begin to think about this team?
I'm not letting it, whatever the outcome of this game is, I'm not letting it get to me. Like, look, the way I see it, we're 5-1, right? Like the Dolphins right now are 5-1. They're first in the division. They're first in the AFC. They're tied for the best record in the NFL. They're number one across statistical categories, all across the boards offensively in league history. We lose this game, I truly don't give a fuck. Moving forward, you have Achane coming back. You have Jalen Ramsey to make his Miami Dolphins debut. Connor Williams is probably not playing this game. He'll be back. Teron Armstead wrap his ass in bubble wrap and leave him for the playoffs. That's when it matters. I don't need to see him.
So he'll play one playoff game. Teron Armstead gonna play one playoff game and then get hurt again.
Well, hopefully he plays 4 or 3 because we'll be the number 1 seed. Hopefully he plays 3. But in terms of how many key players, the Dolphins are missing, that they're not going to be at this game, I'm not worried about it right now. Like you said, it's in Philadelphia. It's their get right game. Just like the Bills, they lost. They came to us and they whooped our ass. And we were competitive in that game, by the way. We started off very well. It was 14-14, and then Teron went down. We had no Connor Williams, and their pass rush was getting to Tua. And the thing with the Dolphins offense, they can't play from behind like that. You cannot be playing from behind by 2 scores.
I don't understand why not. There are a couple of problems that I have with this whole thing.
When you're playing from behind by 2 scores, people are going to pressure you more. You can run all the.
No. I understand the logic behind it. I'm just saying this is the number 1 offense, bro. If we're going to have confidence in this offense, then we should have confidence in them in all situations to be able to go down there and get touchdowns.
But realistic, we're being realistic.
We're being realistic. If this is the number 1 offense in the league, you should have confidence in this offense in any situation. When Patrick Mahomes is down 2 scores, do you have problems believing that he's going to be able to make the game competitive still?
Shit, this year I do.
Well, this year without Aaron Bailey. But I'm just saying, historically,
when he had no offensive line against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the Super Bowl, whatever, he got his ass rocked.
Consistently. No, sure, I get that, but I'm just saying,
that offensive line was banged up when we were playing the Bills. We fell behind by 2 scores, and the pressure started coming big time. And our line, because realistically, Austin Jackson.
Do you believe in the offense or not? Do you believe in the offense or not?
In the offense, yeah. I believe in McDaniel, and I believe in Tua.
Okay, well, if they're down 2 scores, then you should have that same confidence that you would have. I understand what you're talking about.
Well, shit, I had it against the Panthers, but this is the Philadelphia Eagles.
But that's what I'm saying, though, about your argument in general. This is where we disagree when you're saying you're not going to be worried if they lose this game. Because then the arguments that have been said about the Dolphins become louder and louder, which is they've been getting fat off of an easy opponent schedule. That, to me, this will be the second game against a legitimate contender. If the Dolphins don't look good in this game, if they don't look competitive, which is the premise of the question, they don't look competitive in this game, then I'm worrying about all the damn playoff aspirations, Super Bowl aspirations that's being preached to me by Dolphins Twitter. You cannot have those type of aspirations and then be okay losing to every other team that has those same expectations placed on you.
But we saw Tampa Bay, for example, beat up on easy opponents an entire year with Brady 2 or 3 years ago, whenever it is. And I think they finished the year 10-7. They didn't look phenomenal throughout the year.
They had Tom Brady.
I understand they had Tom Brady, but I'm saying they were dealing with their own share of injuries, key players, and they were beating up on weaker opponents. All the big games, they lost because the Patriots doesn't even count as a big game. They lost the rest of them. And when they got to the playoffs and they were healthy, they got their shit going, they got the ball rolling, and they won the Super Bowl. So, again, I think we're missing key players on this team.
No. Okay, so look, again, that is Tom Brady, who has won Super Bowls prior to that season.
This is but
but again, but to that credit, this is Tua. You can't go we can't place the expectation that Tua is going to show up in the playoffs if we don't see steps towards that. And I believe that winning some of these big games in the regular season in December is kind of what people have been to knock on him a little bit. He doesn't play as well in December. Winning some of these games is going to give him more confidence going into those playoff matchups. So it makes the aspirations of being one of the better teams in the AFC believable. But if every time you play a lower opponent like Carolina and you do all these great things, or the Broncos, and you do all these magnificent things, but then you play some real team, you play Buffalo, you lose to Buffalo. You play Philly, you lose to Philly. You play Kansas City, you lose to Kansas City. You play Buffalo again, you lose to Buffalo. then it starts to look like, okay, maybe we're not at the level that we expected to be this time of the season.
Now that you
like,
said Kansas City, if we lose to Philadelphia, for me, that Kansas City game in Germany, that one becomes very important for us.
Okay, so I should make this. I do believe that they should split those games. I think if they split those games, then I'll be fine. But I would rather them get the game against Philly and then go into KC with house money.
I would rather if we're putting that on the table and whatever we say is going to happen, we know what's going to happen. I'd rather have the game because AFC.
Yeah, AFC, yeah, like so it's better for seeding. But yeah,
if we lose this game, then the magnitude, like for me, this game is still more important for the Philadelphia Eagles. Personally, I think this game means more to them than it means to us. But with that being said, we lose to the Eagles. We already lost to the Bills, obviously. That Kansas City game, you got to circle that one. That one becomes important. That you got to be. You cannot go.
But that makes this important too, JMV. We can't say.
No, it's definitely important.
So you can't say it doesn't matter. Every week is not important. We thought last week versus Carolina was a preseason game or a goddamn scrimmage. We don't know what. But look, we thought last week versus Carolina was like a warm-up game. We didn't take that game seriously. That wasn't a game where we had any worries.
I'm at 14 points and I was chilling. I knew we were going to win the game.
Like nobody thought like for a second that the Dolphins would lose this game.
Yeah.
So that game does not mean as much in terms of like your aspirations, what you're looking to be for this season, which is an AFC legitimate contender, right? Or am I wrong about that? Are you just looking?
No.
Are you just happy to be there?
If
you're looking to be
that our aspirations, Super Bowl, yeah.
Yeah, so if your aspirations are Super Bowls, then you have to beat some of the teams with those same aspirations. Carolina Panthers do not have that aspiration. The Denver Broncos do not have those aspirations. I don't know who else the fuck the Dolphins beat, but it's been everybody else.
I agree with everything you're saying. I'm just saying I think this game still means more to the Eagles, and I think the Dolphins have more opportunities to prove. We still got the Bills at home. We still have the Chiefs, obviously, in Germany. The Cowboys are coming down at the end of the year as well. I'm pretty sure that game's in Miami, no? And we got to deal with Micah, who himself is a fucking specimen himself. That is the best pass rusher in the NFL. Him or TJ Watt.
TJ Watt. I was about to say TJ Watt has something to say about that.
Yeah, both of them. Those are monsters.
Yeah.
We still got. I don't know if we're gonna sit here and
the Cowboys game is at home.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to consider the Ravens as a Super Bowl thing, but we also have the Ravens in Baltimore, who we've beat.
You got like your last, if you include the Jets, your last 4 weeks are the Jets, Dallas Cowboys, Baltimore Ravens, Buffalo Bills. That is a gauntlet.
Yeah.
So I think
we have more opportunities to prove ourselves towards the end of the year. The way I'm looking at it is our team is.
But Dallas could be out of the conversation. So could Baltimore, because Baltimore is not leading their division right now. Well, Baltimore is, but like Baltimore could be out of the conversation at any given moment.
Dallas is not going to be out of the conversation. They'll be in the wild card conversation.
Okay, wild card, but like I don't think by that time in the season, Dallas would be a legitimate litmus test for y'all.
No, but the defense will be. We got to put up points against that defense.
I think you will. Like I have more worry about y'all putting points up against the Philadelphia Eagles than I do y'all against the Dallas Cowboys.
How about the Jets?
I think I'm worried about the Jets defense more than I'm worried about the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay, fair.
I'm worried about the Jets defense more than I'm worried about the Philadelphia Eagles defense.
Okay.
But not because I don't think they can guard Tyreek Hill. I think they can guard everybody else.
That's fair. I'm more worried about the Jets defense than I am about the Eagles.
Yes, sir. I am.
Yeah. And I'm more worried. No, I'm on the same boat you are. Yeah. Jets first, then Eagles, then Cowboys. Because the Cowboys, we just got to deal with Micah Parsons.
Right. You know what I mean? And I think you can't do that. But I think Tua can mitigate what Micah Parsons can do.
Yeah.
And so but yeah, essentially though, they say Bills got to play the Jets, Eagles, Bills, Cowboys. Yeah, they play the same schedule as the Dolphins. I'm not saying that I'm worried about the Dolphins season going down the drain. I think the Dolphins will inevitably be a playoff team this year. I just want to know what caliber of playoff team are we looking at them as by the time that they get there. I want to feel confident that they can beat some of the hot upper echelon teams in the AFC or in the league. And in order for me to believe that, I have to see them do it a couple of times. The Chargers are frauds. I don't believe in that. The Patriots are garbage. Denver Broncos are garbage. Buffalo Bills, you lost that game. The Giants are garbage, and the Carolina Panthers are garbage. That
hypothetically speaking, we lose this game. Hypothetically speaking, right? We lose this game. Let's say, I don't know, 34-23, right? We lose this game. Just to throw a number out there, right? We lose by 10. We go to Kansas. Well, not Kansas City. We go to Germany and we beat Kansas City. How are you feeling about that team at that point?
I'm cool.
Or
I'm cool.
do you still need to beat the Bills? And I personally need to beat the Bills regardless. But do you still feel like you need to beat the Bills for you to be like?
No, if you can beat Kansas City, then I'm comfortable with whatever you have like going on, because I think you're going to win games because you're a good enough team to do that throughout the rest of the course. The Buffalo Bills is a tricky one because personally, I would like to beat the Buffalo Bills not for the sake of like them being an AFC like elite contender, but for the sake of you being the kings of the division. Like my first year as a Dolphins fan, I want to win the division, and the only person that I got to beat to do that is Buffalo. And yeah, my record might get that done for me, but I don't want it like that. Like I want to beat Buffalo to get it. Like, and that's kind of like that's a personal thing. But if they beat Kansas City, then I'm cool with what the Dolphins got going on. Like, because that's a signature win for me, and I know I'm gonna see some good shit throughout the rest of the schedule because these opponents are tough and they're playoff teams, and you're probably gonna kick half of their ass anyway. Like.
Yeah,
so I'm good if they beat Kansas City.
We'll get them. Last year we beat the Ravens, we beat the Bills also, and the game in Buffalo we lost by 3. It wasn't like people make it out to be like the Bills whooped our ass 2 out of 3 times. That's not true. We were beating the Bills that game almost the entire game in Buffalo. We fumbled the bag, and in the playoffs without Tua, we played them very well. So like, I'm confident.
Well, that works also on the inverse where you guys were losing to Baltimore at the beginning of the game last year, and then
we're getting our asses handed to, but we won at the end of the day.
See, look, it worked when it worked for your narrative, bro. But any other topics that you think that we should get to before we wrap this up and get on up out of here?
Let's beat the Eagles. I got nothing else to say. Let's beat the Eagles so that all these hypotheticals can go away and we don't got to give a fuck about anything. We got the playoff win. Well, the signature win against a playoff team, and then we can deal with Kansas City when we get there. But let's beat the Eagles so ESPN can shut up because they're annoying.
That's
NFL Network too.
And that's another annoying. Like, that they're gonna get even louder if the Dolphins like don't look good in this game. And Tua's
MVP campaign, which is very, very real right now.
Well, he got it back against Carolina because I thought he did lose some ground when they lost the game to Buffalo. He played cool against what was the team before that after they lost to Buffalo. Yeah, he played cool against the Giants. People wanted to see a little bit more, but they got everything that they was looking for against Carolina. He was elite. He was special against Carolina, and that put him back at the top of that list. A good game against the Philadelphia Eagles in that pass rush, that'll give him a foothold because I think the conversation that we've been having, like, it's like the MVP conversation is Tua and them trying to find somebody to give it to instead of Tua because there's nobody else in the conversation where it's like he has a clear-cut case to be the MVP over Tua. Like, you can't convince me, and I'm pretty easy to convince when it comes to like shit that's anti-Tua. Like, but you can't.
Is so stupid, man. Patrick Mahomes.
I got the Tyreek Hill argument though, because if Tua throws for 5,000 yards and Tyreek Hill catches 2,500 yards, then Tyreek Hill will be in the MVP conversation. I don't think you can give Tua the award if Tyreek Hill is also in the MVP.
No, but Tua will get MVP and Tyreek will get offensive player of the year or whatever.
That's the same thing. I think that's the same thing Warren and Kendall said to me, bro. Like, they both said, like, the MVP is a quarterback award. Like, they're going to give that bitch to Tua. Like, I'm with it, bro. Like, MVP Tua.
Everybody throwing the narrative that Tua doesn't deserve it because he has Tyreek Hill on his team is a bunch of bullshit because Patrick Mahomes had Tyreek Hill on his team doing almost the same, maybe not to this extent, but almost the same amount of production that nobody else can commit to, and he won MVP. No one gave a fuck about Tyreek Hill.
Julian Gonzalez said, "How do we feel if we hypothetically beat both the Eagles and the Chiefs?"
I'm going freaking bitch down 8th Street.
I will be rock hard if that shit happens. We got my boy Kachi Chisholm pulling up from the whip very late into the show as we're about to close. Kai, go ahead and tell the people what you wanted to tell them. Did you just go to the dentist?
No, I'm getting off of work. I'm just cheesing because I see JMV.
Kai, what did you want to come in here and tell the folks before we wrap the show up?
JMV is wrong. Tyreek Hill is going to be the MVP of the NFL. No doubt. He breaks 2,000 yards and he breaks the record. MVP. I don't care who's throwing him the ball.
They gave it to Cooper Kupp.
MVP.
He will break it. I think Tua's breaking the passing record, and I think Tyreek Hill's breaking the receiving record in the same year. I think they're both getting that bitch.
No shot. I think Tyreek's breaking that receiving record. I don't think Tua's breaking that.
Accusations. These are not.
Was that the last cap?
I mean, Tua's on pace for what, 53? What's the record? 54? 55?
That was AEW. I know that was AEW.
Hold on. NFL season pass.
5,500.
Man, Tua's at 5,300 right now on pace for it. So,
yeah, but he's not gonna get there.
I think he's gonna get there.
No,
if he doesn't miss a game.
It's 54-77. He's not getting 54-77.
I think he'll get
there.
I think he's gonna at one of
But
these
Tyreek Hill will get 2,200 receiving yards, and that's a real thing. But anywho, thank you guys in the comments as always for joining the show, making it much more fun than it would have been without you. Thank you to my guy Achane, Chisholm for pulling up at the last minute, and of course my dude JMV for rocking with me the whole way. I'm not thanking Justin because he's obligated by law to be here, and we'll see y'all on Sunday for the Miami Dolphins pregame show at 11. No, it's going to be a little bit later because we're in prime time this time, baby.
Prime time.
Maybe 2 hours before the Dolphins game. We'll let you know via our Twitter, so make sure you like or subscribe to our Twitter. Subscribe to the Basement Sports Network if you have not already. Leave us a like on this video. We will see you guys when we see you guys. Play the video, Justin.